Greetings and salutations, internet. It is I, Wolfphototech, and here we are with another delightful video. And I adjusted my camera, my light, just not right, and I should have just I should have held up this book and discovered whether the position of the light, it caused a lot of glare on it. So, adjust that slightly. And there we go. And we still get some glare, but it's not as bad as before. This happens to be a very handy-dandy game. This happens to be a very handy-dandy book for all those game masters or dungeon masters for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition when you want to run a war campaign even from very low levels to very high levels. And this happens to be called Ultimate. This is part of the Ultimate NPCs line. This one is Warefare by Nord Games. This book actually MSRP is for $40, which actually is a pretty good deal overall. General overview on this book. It is rain fart for 5 seconds. 228 pages. It is very well bound overall. Not the highest quality binding, but compared to, say, something from Wizards of the Coast, it's actually done quite well. Throughout the entire book, there is actually quite a few images of NPCs. So you always have a piece of artwork relating to the NPC in the book. This section happens to be the legal notice section right here, and the credits, as well as the table of contents. You have several of the NPCs right here are at a war table. And then you have the basic forward instructions and encounter table. This encounter table can be run is a D30 table, a D30. In order for you to roll a D30, you have to buy a D30. It's not a typical dice that most people own, but I happen to have a D30. It's actually one of my more popular. It's the cheap Amazon dice review video earlier in my channel's history. Before I went 4K, by the way. So you can go to my most popular videos section, and it should be fairly easy to find because it is actually one of the most popular videos on my playlist. It's probably in the top 20 videos so far. But anyways, here's a D30 table. On this D30 table, there happens to be the name, the race or species, if you want to go with that term, alignment, class. You have some characters that are a combination of two classes, such as Arnor, who is a barbarian ranger. Interesting combination. You have a background, which is actually the backgrounds from the player's handbook, as well as a occupation and the page number for that character. Yet again, since this video is in 4K, if you wanted to, you could zoom in and actually read that entire table fairly easily. You got a big enough screen or really high resolution TV, you could actually read it all. So there you go. On to the next page. There is a section on the good aligned guilds, the Iron Key, and so forth, as well as another D10 table for good aligned characters. Because this book does not contain good aligned characters. It contains good, neutral, and evil aligned characters. You can play all sides on this. And then we're on to the very first character. Now this is the basic standard. It is built on the same core stat block and abilities as any player character would have for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It also contains the personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws for the character, as well as a little bit of information on how to roleplay the character when your players interact with them in the military campaign or anything of the such. This book is nothing but just ideas for a military campaign, not a complete one. And it has various characters through it. For this book, it is important to note that all these characters have various slices in their levels, which are represented here. Say, such as Elma Copley, you have a level 1 stat block right here. And then the next page over, you have the level 4 stat block. And then you have the level 8, the level 12, as well as bits of information on the character as they level up, or character flavor components, so you get a feeling for them. You have the level 16 and the level 20. This is replicated out through all the book with all the characters. As you can see, you go to a new character in this book. You get Arnor, which was the barbarian ranger. At level 1, he is just purely a barbarian. But as he levels up, he gains levels in his other class. He's Barbarian 3, Ranger 1 at level 4, and so forth. Yet again, as I said before, basic stat block for a level 1 character. Some character information for flavor. Their level 4 stat block with all their abilities, as well as more information on their character as the character develops. You go to level 8. Still some more character information. Level 12. Level 16 and level 20. And this repeats throughout the entire book. You got Galia Arne Kellak, which is a fighter. She happens to be a half-elf. And yet again, level 1, level 4, level 8, level 12, level 16, level 20. So you get a nice range for your characters. So you can have these characters show up either at a very high level of play in a war campaign, or a very low level, or even in the middle. I find that this book is actually quite nice because it does provide such a broad range. You can actually see as the characters develop, as well as various other character traits. Interestingly enough, we got another wood elf character who happens to start out as a barbarian, but by level 4 he becomes barbarian 2 and monk 2. That combination is a mixed bag, to say the least, but you have some really nice bonuses that come out of it, and yet again the whole thing. And for the most of the book, that is pretty much the standard as it goes through it. You get a new character, level 1, and then you got level 2, level 8, level 12, and through 6 pages you go to level 20. She happens to be a paladin. And then jumping all the way back to towards the back of the book, you have the neutral characters. There's actually somewhere in the middle of this book a transition explaining the neutral characters. And then a few more pages after that, and we will eventually arrive at the evil characters in the book. As I said, this is 200 some pages of nothing but characters with a little bit of extra information in the front, guiding you on the means of running these characters, as well as other things. This is the beginning of the evil character section. A little bit of information and so forth. You got a D10 table here. There's also a D10 table in this section, as I said, for the neutral characters. I just kind of had to skip past them because I don't want to take forever on this video. But as you can see, it's the same standard over again. Yet again, at the very front of the book, there happens to be a table, that D30 table I said before, that has the pages for all these characters with just enough information on it that you can actually ascertain as to whether that character will be interesting in your campaign or not. Bard, evil bard. Continue on. And then you eventually get to the very end. What? I think I skipped past it. Yes, I accidentally flipped right past it. But anyways, you get to the very end of the book. So we have the good characters. We got the neutral characters, which I skipped the intro page to that. And then we also have the evil characters. But at the very end of this book, we happen to have general NPCs, general NPC section in the book. These are just a few more characters, just at a few levels, not the 1, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16, 20, pattern. You just happen to have a few. You got a D100 table here for them. You got a militia table, guards, mercenaries, knights, and war mages. And then the next page, we get their stat blocks. All these are actually fairly simple stat blocks set to various levels. They're not a level. They're monster stat block based, not character stat block based. So you go through this whole thing. You got Master Hunter, Demagogue Priest, Old War Hero. You got Soldier, the section on soldiers, like Light Cavalry Trooper, Army Herald, Field Commander, Grand General, and so forth. Gate Sentinel, Palace Guard, Elite Bodyguard, Enforcer, and so forth. You got a Glaive Dancer, Blade-Bound Mystic, Arcane Blade Master, and so forth. Then we got a section in the back right after the general NPCs. The last one is Siege Sorcerer. But you also have a section on unique items, such as Amulet of Disinterest, Appropriate Change, Battle Blinders, Bellowing Banner, and so forth. So you get a nice little selection on unique magic items for a war campaign. And then we happen to go into magic spells. So we have unique spells for this, like Ballista Bolt, Binding Muck, Chaos, Catapult Shot, Earthen Mine, Force Blade, Horrors of War, Undermine, Stone Spurs. And then we got the legal appendix in the back. And that's it. I do actually quite like this book. I have yet had the opportunity to use this book, but considering that based on character stats from playing in many D&D games and some Pathfinder stuff and other things like that, I do say that the stat blocks do follow in line with trajectory of the various characters as you develop them throughout the game. So many of these characters can actually be one-to-one matches for common characters in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for level. So Kimber Dawn, which is a level 20 cleric on this page, has 18 AC chainmail, has 143 HP. She's an acolyte. Has all the basic stuff like Discipline of Light, Divine Strike, Shelter of the Faithful, Spellcasting. You got the full spell list here. Supreme Healing, which is a nice extra feature right here. And a quick list of actions. So you can easily build a counterparty for, like, if you have a evil campaign, you can always borrow the good characters from this book as a counterparty to your party, even at very high levels. I would advise not matching strengths to weaknesses on your opposing players. That is actually kind of mean to do. But anyways, you get a really nice range of characters and a very nice range of levels. And you have very interesting character build, lore characters, lore information for the characters in this book. So I do say this is actually quite a useful book. Even if it doesn't match up, you're not doing like a war campaign, but if you say like wanted more, if you're playing a more people-centric campaign where your players are not going out into the forest to battle monsters, but they are more or less going around from city to city, dealing with criminal networks or various other situations like conflicts within society. This book actually could be very useful in that regard as well. So I also highly recommend this book for that type of campaign as well, because you have you got a lot of humanoids in this book that will help you flush out those types of campaigns as well. I do say that this book does feel like it's in that 4-star range. I have yet to fully be able to go through it and use it in the actual campaigns. I happen to be, all the groups I happen to play in, almost all or half of the group members are game masters. So, like I'm quite lucky that I always get nice breaks between having to run campaigns and alternate off with other game masters. But that also results in me not being able to use all my stuff as quickly as I can, because I simply can't even work it all into the campaigns I do run. So this book looks to be quite a good deal for everything you want for your campaigns. And I do stick with that 4-star range. It should be in that 4-star range as far as I can tell. Everything in the book is solidly constructed as far as I can work out. And I do like it very much. It's a very nice book. So, yeah. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have a delightful day, nice night, a wonderful week, and a magnificent month. And see you next time. Ciao. And there's the glare. I'm going to try something different holding it from the top.